Apple announced their new line of iPhones today with the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro. Now, if you've been following the rumors on the new iPhones for the last week, month, or year, you probably had a good idea of what to expect going into today's announcement. Whether you think these updates are boring or not probably depends on what iPhone or device you're coming from, but there were actually some really good updates in today's announcement, so let's talk through them. Sponsored by Skillshare. Hey, I'm Jerry, and every year around this time, Apple has an event, and they announce their new iPhones for the year. Sometimes those changes seem really big. Sometimes there's massive design changes. Sometimes there's great feature changes. Sometimes it's just software changes, and sometimes it's just what you expect. And on the surface, today's announcements feel like the expected route of changes, what you expect from an upgrade year over year with an iPhone. However, there are some really good updates to the iPhone 13 over the iPhone 12 and of course the iPhone 11 and iPhones before that. Design-wise, we're getting a design that's familiar and one that we got last year on the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. This design really started with the 2018 iPad Pro and it includes flat sides sandwiched between two pieces of glass. At first glance, it's probably going to be pretty hard to tell the difference between an iPhone 12 and an iPhone 13. On the iPhone 13, you are going to get a notch on the front that's about 20% smaller. On the backside of the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, you get a new dual camera module that has the cameras in a diagonal shape. The camera modules on the back of the iPhone 13 are larger, and instead of changing the size of the camera bump, they actually just put them in a diagonal orientation so that they can both fit on that bump. With the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro, the camera bump is actually larger to accommodate 3 larger lenses. And at this point, can we even call it a camera bump? It's really more of a camera mound at this point. The iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max continue its stainless steel design and comes in blue, silver, gold, and graphite. The iPhone 13 and 13 mini comes in aluminum still with pink, blue, midnight, starlight, and product red. And I gotta say, I really love the product red on the iPhone 13. It's a lot like the red on the iPhone SE 2 and not like the terrible red color on the iPhone 12. But overall, I love the design of the new iPhone 13. It's very similar to the iPhone 12, which I think is a great design. It's modern and sleek and the flat sides are easy to grip. I like the design a lot. Unfortunately, on the bottom, you're gonna see that there's still a Lightning port. Unlike the iPads that Apple keeps moving to USB-C and to Thunderbolt, the iPhone and the standard 9th generation iPad are the only devices besides AirPods that are still using Lightning. It's a little disappointing, but it's what we get. The screens on all of the iPhones are getting a great update on brightness this year. On the iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max, you're gonna get a screen brightness of up to 1000 nits in regular use and up to 1200 nits for peak brightness in HDR. With the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, you're gonna match the peak brightness of the iPhone 12 Pro with up to 800 nits and that same 1200 nits for HDR content. But as far as the screen goes, I think the thing that most people are going to be excited about, or at least anybody who's ever used an iPad Pro, is gonna be that 120 Hz ProMotion display. Apple finally added ProMotion with 120 Hz adaptive refresh display to their Pro iPhone. The iPhone can adjust its frame rate anywhere between 10 and 120 frames per second as needed. So that means if you're scrolling on a website, it's going to adjust automatically to how fast your finger is moving to give you a crisp, clear, non-blurry display with text and images on the display as you're scrolling. This makes flipping through articles really seamless and fast because you don't have to stop to read. You can continue scrolling at whatever pace makes sense for you and continue to read. And when you're not doing anything and just sitting on the home screen, the iPhone can ramp all the way down to as low as 10 frames per second to save battery life. And if you're a so-called power gamer on iOS, you can get up to 120 Hz refresh rate to get that next kill. I'm pretty sure that beyond more battery life, a ProMotion display was the biggest request for features, and I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to try it out. Powering this year's iPhone and that ProMotion display is the new A15 Bionic chip. This is a brand new 6-core chip from Apple. Now, if you're not aware, Apple's been doing pretty good in the mobile chip space for a while, and this is their newest addition. Apple's new A15 has 2 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, along with a new 16-core neural engine and a new GPU. Now the processors in the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro diverge just a little bit. In the iPhone 13 Pro, it has a 5-core GPU, and the iPhone 13 has a 4-core GPU. You might be able to surmise that the iPhone 13 Pro is going to be 25% faster with graphics performance. However, I don't have a way to test this yet, but once we get the devices, we'll be able to go ahead and do that. What's interesting is that Apple does not provide any information about benchmarks or speed compared to previous processors like they usually do. Nothing about it being 10% or 20% faster than the A14 or anything else. Regardless, Apple's chips are no slouch. Just like the A14 in the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPad Air 4, it's gonna blow through anything that you're gonna throw at it. It's gonna have enough power to get you through email, to get you through work calls, to get you through video taking and video editing. It's gonna control your cameras with its new image signal processor. It's gonna help you do augmented reality. It's gonna manage your power. It's gonna protect your privacy, and it's gonna do it all super efficiently. The iPhone 13 is getting two brand new cameras, a wide and ultra wide camera, which are gonna be faster and brighter than in the iPhone 12. Apple is even bringing the optical image stabilization or the sensor shift technology from the iPhone 12 Pro Max to all of the iPhones this year. That means there's a sensor inside these iPhones behind the camera that actually physically moves depending on your movement of your hands, or when you're trying to catch a subject that's moving fast, or if you just need a really steady shot, whether that's in day or in night mode. The sensor shift technology in the new iPhones is probably gonna be the biggest feature for the camera for most people, because you won't even have to think about it. Anything you take with a handheld shot using the iPhone, video or photo, is gonna get a better, more clear result because of that sensor shift technology. There's also new HDR4 in the cameras that allow for more accurate colors, a wider contrast ratio, and better skin tones all around. With all of the new iPhones, you're gonna get this brand new feature called cinematic mode, which automatically, using AI, adjusts the focus in a scene to what the iPhone thinks you wanna focus on. So just like in the movies, the focus will shift back and forth between subjects in the video as the camera thinks is necessary. You can manually control this yourself, or you can just let the AI manage it. But even crazier, it actually creates a depth map of everything as you're recording the video, and you can go back and adjust the focus later. I mean, holy cow. That's definitely something that I'm gonna have to experiment with. I wanna know how well it works. You could see in the video that there was a little bit of focus hunting at some points in there where the iPhone was trying to decide which object to latch onto, but it did a really good job overall. As far as other features of the new camera systems go, Apple also added photographic styles, which basically allows you to set your preferences of how you want all of your photos to look. You can get more contrast, or more or less vibrancy, or you can change the temperature between warm and cool and save those settings as your default. And you also have the ability to shoot all of your videos in Apple ProRes, which is an efficient, high-quality video codec for professionals. And one more thing that the iPhone 13 Pro gets over the iPhone 13 is that 3x zoom lens, which not only gives you that obvious 3x zoom, but also a brand new macro mode for iPhone, which means you can get as close as 2 centimeters to an object to get extremely close-up macro shots. So as far as cameras go on all of the new iPhones, there's a ton of updates. They all get all brand new sensors. They all get sensor shift technology for better stabilization. They get that new focus racking software feature, which is insane. You can shoot in Apple ProRes for a super high quality, efficient codec. And the iPhone 13 Pro gets that 3x zoom lens for even better distance, telephoto, and macro. Now, even if you won't use all of the camera features in the new iPhone 13, one thing you will definitely use and appreciate is better battery life. The iPhone 13 mini and the iPhone 13 Pro are going to get an extra 1.5 hours versus the iPhone 12 mini and 12 Pro. And the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max are gonna get 2.5 hours more battery compared to the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro Max. There's too many numbers. The only reason I stopped using the iPhone 12 mini and moved to the iPhone 12 Pro was because of battery life. There was just enough occasions where I couldn't get through a full day on the iPhone 12 mini without having battery anxiety. Now that the iPhone 13 mini gets another hour and a half, that may be enough to get me through a full day on pretty much every occasion. So I think I'm gonna have to give that guy another try. As far as storage goes, the new iPhone 13 and 13 Pro start at 128 gigabytes of storage. The Pro can go all the way up to 1 terabyte of storage, and the iPhone 13 can go up to 512 gigabytes. The prices for all of these phones are staying the same this year, even with all of the improvements and the bump in storage space, starting at $699 for the iPhone 13 mini, going all the way up to $1099 for the iPhone 13 Pro. So, are these expected changes for a new iPhone? Yeah, probably. And that's pretty good, because year over year, you can expect great incremental changes from iPhone to iPhone year to year. And inside those incremental changes as a package, you get great individual upgrades. So you get a great new battery. You get upgraded baseline storage. You get a whole new camera system with all new sensors and sensor shift technology in every iPhone. The screen has a big change with that ProMotion display to make just everything feel more fluid. The jury's still out on the performance of the A15 because Apple hasn't even provided it any benchmarks, but we'll definitely get our hands on it and check that out. And I'm curious to know how well it performs versus the A14. And if there was one thing I could change about the new iPhone 13, it would be the Lightning port. USB-C would just be nice. I would like to stop carrying a bunch of different cables when I have to go somewhere. So what are you guys most excited about? Is it that extra bump in storage, that boost in battery life, that ProMotion display, or the new camera system? For me, it's definitely the ProMotion display because I just love the smooth feeling of that 120 Hertz. But I also want to have the best camera I can in my pocket, and having the iPhone with a better camera is always a bonus for me. And you know what? You can learn how to get some of the best photos out of this brand new camera system with the help of Ali Bartlett and her fantastic smartphone photography class with today's sponsor, Skillshare. Ali will walk you through all of the steps of how to set up your iPhone, compose and frame your photos, whether that's landscape shots or portrait photos. She shares her very own tips and tricks for capturing great photos, along with how to edit those photos for a professional look. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes to learn new skills, including topics on illustration, design, freelancing, filmmaking, and more. Skillshare is for lifelong learners and real working creatives made by other creatives. Millions of us are using these curated classes that are built to fit any schedule and skill level. If you're looking to up your smartphone photography skills, check out Ali's class today, and the first 1,000 people who use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. And my thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video.